Hi guys, got another episode of my practice battle for Great Battles of the American Civil War. The Twin Peaks, this is a practice game, completely fictional. Just setting up two corps, one under Banks for the Union, and the second under Jackson for the Rebels. And each one has two divisions apiece, and a number of brigades in each division, so on and so forth. I thought I'd give you a little bit more detail on the processes here at the start of a turn. Before we jump into the actual activating of brigades and units and doing all that good stuff, which I may cover as we go down the road in this series. But I do want to point out some of the preliminary things we do in the turn sequence. And first is the initiative phase. And I rolled initiative, and I believe this was the roll I got here. Rebels got a 5 and the Union got a 1, and they would add their OCs modifier, if it has one, to these rolls. And the high roll is initiative. In this case, there's no OCs. It's just my corps commanders, and that's it. So it's 5-1. Rebels have initiative. That's going to give them some advantages here, and you'll see that. After the initiative phase, it goes to the orders segment. I keep calling it initiative phase. It's the initiative segment. I'll probably show you right here. There's an abbreviated turn sequence right here on the back of one of the battle books. So you can see we just did the initiative segment. It goes to the orders segment. The first thing there is going to be determine the chain of command. Literally, in my case, I'm going to trace line of command between my corps commanders and each of their divisional commanders, and then from the division commanders to each of their specific brigade commanders. And finally, the brigade commanders to each of their regiments. And if any of those are out of command, they'll be marked with a special counter, out of command. So units, brigadiers, divisional commanders can be marked with out of command markers. And we check this, and it's based on a range given on the counters. It's typically this little number here. I don't know if you could see that. Let me zoom in there on this Banks here, brigadier. You can see that little black 5. You can see it right there. That is the command range. And the divisional commanders have a similar value. You can see it over here. Augur's division, he has a 5 as well in a black circle. And brigadiers also have a similar range. It's their command range. Here's one right here. I don't know if you could see him. Let's move it over a little bit. You can see Gordon right there. He has a blank, he has a 4 in a black circle. So, yeah. That's how that works. Now, from what I understand, you use movement points to determine this. So if Banks has a 5, he has to be within 5 movement points, basically, using the leader movement rates to his divisional commanders. So you'd count off the hexes any way you can to get each of your division commanders within that range, in this case 5. Well, so far I did that, and I do have over here on the right, this is what is out of command currently for turn 2. It's Crawford's brigade is out of command. As I mentioned in the previous episode, Crawford moved out of command to rally his unit, and his division commander's here. He has a range of 5, so going down this trail here, even with that benefit, it does not reach. 5 is right about there. So Crawford is out of command, and he would be marked with this counter. So his entire brigade will basically take 1 less activation than he would normally be able to take. That's the effect. And I believe there's some more out of command up here, as you can see, for both sides, Union and Rebels. Sorry for the shaking. But we've got 3 stacks out of command. This stack of disordered units, they have taken quite a bit of damage, actually. They're on the brink of being collapsed. These 2 units are both out of command from their brigadier, which is located here. His is 4, a range of 4, so 4 movement points. So right here in the open, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. He's actually in command. I read that wrong, I guess. Let's see, am I doing that correct? 1, 2. Oh, I can't because this unit, this is an enemy unit. It's adjacent to an enemy unit. That's why it couldn't happen. So yeah, the only other route would be through the woods, which is 2 movement points each. That's 2, 4. Can't reach. His range is 4. So yeah, these two units are out of command and are thus marked. And of course here for the rebels, we've got a disordered unit back here, which is also out of command because he can't reach his brigadier. Brigadier is Trimble. He has a range of 3 movement points. And let's see, right here in the open, 3 is right there. He can't get any closer. In fact, this is adjacent to an enemy unit. He couldn't even go there. So, yeah, he can't get to him. So he's out of command. And also for Prince's brigade, this unit, which is pretty healthy, still in good shape, it is out of command as well because it cannot reach his brigadier, not within his brigadier's command range. So out of command units. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's out of command. And the same thing for these units. They'll take less activations. I believe that's what it is for a unit. I'll double check that when I get there. But Prince's brigade is in command as a whole. It's just some units are not. And the same thing for Trimble. After the chain of command is determined and see who's out of command, you go to the efficiency determination. This is where you determine how many AMs you're going to get. And basically it's a chit draw. And these are the chits for that. The rebels have 3 chits in this case. Where are you? Right there. Numbered 1 to 3. Randomly pulled a 2. Now the Union has 4 chits available to them, numbered 1 to 4. They also pulled a 2, and I put them next to their corps commanders. And you check efficiency for each corps. So corps aside, I'm only pulling 1 counter each side. So Banks got a 2, Jackson also got a 2. Now this is the basis for determining how many AM markers for each division are going to be put in our cup. And of course these are our AM counters for each division. There's Ewell's. He has 3 available. And Hill also has 3 max. And Williams has 3 max. And Auger has 3 max. In this case, you'll see I've only got 2 here for Auger. And I'll explain that in a second. But anyway, this value, 2, if we look at the Union, will be modified. In this case, if a divisional commander has a modifier to that efficiency rating, like a +1, that'll add to it. Unfortunately, the Union doesn't have any divisional commanders with that capability. No modifier. It's 0. I think it's this bottom number in white. So there's no modifier for that. However, because the corps commander is a 1, this top number here, that's a modifier to efficiency for the corps commander. Because he has that, that allows him to pick one of his divisions to take an additional AM marker. And he decided, well, actually, I debated about this, which one to give it to, because obviously both divisions really need the AM. So I randomly determined it, shuffled them together, and I got this. So Williams is lucky to get a 3rd AM marker this turn. So that's what the Union came up with. For the rebels, again, they drew a 2. Jackson had 2 efficiency. And both his divisional commanders, Hill and Ewell, see, Ewell is up here. They each have a bonus of +1 on their efficiency value for the turn. So their 2 becomes 3. So both get 3. They're maxed at this point. And the pool available to you in a battle, like in this case, the rebels have a pool of 3 for each division. That's as many as you can have. So both Hill and Ewell will have their max of 3 right off the bat. And also Jackson has a +1 like Banks. So he can further modify his efficiency again for up to 1 of his divisions. But in this battle, we are maxed at 3. So they're already maxed, so they can't have any more. But technically, one of them could actually have a 4. But not in this case. So that was determined. That is the activation efficiency determination segment of the turn. Let's go back to this. I'm probably zoomed in too far. Let's back up a little bit. And yeah, that's right here, B. Next is division orders. Literally, I can change the orders of my brigades if they're within my chain of command. In other words, corps and to division to brigade. As long as that brigade is within that chain of command, not out of command, I can change their orders. And I could do that with every brigade that is within command, within that command chain. Let's see if I did so. I don't think I made any changes whatsoever. And my thinking here for the Union, we got Crawford's brigade on the flank here under advance orders. I don't want to do much with him at this point. He's really beat up. I want him to be defensive, sit back, don't want to engage in melee really, or shock combat. He's got, I believe, 2 disordered units really beat up here. He just rallied this unit. That's in good shape. And he's got a unit here still in good shape. So he's still in a position to hold this. And if I could do that, that's great. We'll leave him on advance. However, I want Gordon's brigade. That's these units right here. And by the way, they're differentiated by right here, that middle number, the 7, and over here, the 8. That color matches the brigadier color. If you look over here for Gordon, this little band at the bottom, it's blue. And that means these guys with blue in the bottoms are part of his brigade. But anyway, he is under attack orders. I'm going to leave that because I want him with what he's got. I believe he has a unit there he needs to rally this turn, hopefully. This over here is collapsed, so they're out of the action. But I want them to be under attack. I want them to really support Crawford's left flank, and literally the left flank of Williams here needs to be a little bit aggressive against this weak point in the rebel line. Hopefully, if we could do some damage here and threaten this area, the rebels might think twice about engaging here and pull that brigade back for safety precautions because, hey, we're going to split their line. So we'll see if that happens. But I'm not going to get too aggressive with these guys, but I will, and I do see some shock happening. We'll see. Risky stuff. And as for Augur's division, over here, they're in trouble. There's a lot going on here. Geary, that's this brigadier right here. He's right next to Augur. His brigade is right here in the middle. They're in good shape. He's got 4 regiments. You can see they're yellow here in the middle and the bottom, and he's yellow. That's how you distinguish the units in their brigades. They are under attack, and I think I'm going to leave that because I do want to kind of counterattack here and support this right here. And I'm kind of worried about Early's brigade coming up out of the center from reserve and attacking. So these guys are in good shape mostly. He's got 1 regiment that is disordered. It's okay. I'm not too worried. Mostly rifle armed. Well, they're all rifle armed, which is good. Range is like 5 hexes with rifles, 2 with muskets. So yeah, I'm going to keep them on attack. So Geary's going to get a little aggressive this turn. Prince is in trouble. He's got 2 active units that are in command and have not taken any damage. They're holding their own here against this little thrust by Forno's brigade. This rebel unit here in the center is disordered and took some damage. And all these guys, if you remember, out of command. So Prince is pretty much just going to hold defensively. He's under advance orders, so we're going to keep him that way. As far as the rebels are concerned, he's over here, Ewell's division. He's got Trimble and Forno both on attack orders. However, Trimble's brigade is combat ineffective, which means he'll take less activations for the turn. So he's only going to be taking 2, I believe, or is it maxed at 1? I don't remember what it is, but he's can take less activations because of that. I'll get into that later on. I have to double check. He doesn't have much to work with, Trimble. He's got 2 disordered units here, and 1 over here that's disordered, I believe, and also out of command. So, yeah, combat ineffective. Forno, on the other hand, coming up the center, is engaging Prince's brigade further, and it looks like he might also engage against Geary. So we'll see. Geary's on attack as well, so this could get bloody over here real quick. What else for the rebels? Yeah, Forno was on attack. Trimble's also on attack. Trimble really is in no shape to be under attacking. In fact, I might change that order. Probably should have, to advance, just so he can move his units back. He's not really effective at this point. He needs to rally these troops. So that's Early's division. That's what's Ewell's, sorry. Ewell's division. Early is back here. He's got a fresh brigade and under advance. And also Archer's brigade squaring off against the Union up here. This is Green. He's only got 2 regiments holding the middle. Green is under advance, basically being defensive, holding the right flank of Williams' division, or the left flank of Williams' division. They're not under attack. I basically want to hold and fight defensively with them. And we'll see if Archer comes forward or not. I don't know. So far, he's just sitting back. And Archer, of course, is on advance orders as well. So he's not going to be able to shock or anything like that. Over here for the rebels, Pender's brigade, which has been very aggressive. He's basically in this line here of units. They're all in command. They're under attack orders, and he's engaging this flank of Crawford's brigade. And he's doing pretty good. His units are all 10s here, musket-armed troops. They are under attack. They can engage in shock combat, and I think they're going to do that. I think they're going to push forward and really try and take out Crawford's brigade quickly, and then carry on to the flank of Gordon. And that could be bad for Williams' division and the entire right flank of the Union here. And Thomas, who is located here, he's got, I believe, three regiments. One was just wiped out earlier. He's trying to regroup his troops. He's got a 10 strength unit here. And he's got a disordered unit here, which is taking some damage. Let's see what he's suffering under. A 1. And over here, Thomas himself is with this unit that rallied with 2 hits. And for some reason, this unit is facing that way. I don't think that's the way he was. Or maybe he was. I think he was actually facing that way. The Union was up here earlier, and there was some shooting in this direction. Facing is important in this game, much like SPQR. Can we shoot in frontal hexes and so on and so forth. Move into frontal hexes and so on. You can't stack more than 2 units in a hex as well. And there is stacking limits based on your orders, I think, for attack. And I think for advance it's 15. I think it's the same for attack. I'll double check that. 15 strength points. So that's the situation so far. Now, after that, we got our sequence here. We're going to jump to reinforcements phase, which there is none. We were just in division orders. I didn't change any. They are what they are at the moment. Reserve placement, no. Next, we go to the third segment, which is activation. The guy with initiative, which is the rebels in this case, can pick one of his AM markers to take the first activation of the turn. Everything else is put in a pool, which will be drawn after he completes that division's activation. And they'll be drawn one at a time, and all the brigades and units in that division drawn will then do these actions here, which is they can change their orders. They have to roll dice for that. It's not automatic like it was up here. All they have to do is be within the chain of command, and you can change the orders. Down here, you have to also roll a die. And you get that loose cannon result in there, which is a pretty fun result. And finally, the action phase. This is where units individually can move and or fire and shock, depends on their orders, or they can rally. Basically don't move, they don't shoot, they don't do anything else, they just attempt to rally. Like a disordered unit, if they do their rally check and successfully, they'll be flipped back to their normal side. They're not disordered anymore. Finally, construction, if that applies in this scenario. Then it goes to the end of the turn segment, which is when all the units of each brigade, all the activation markers are pulled, we go to this. And this is where we allow commanders, corps commanders and OCs, they actually move. I think they have 40 movement points. It sounds like a lot, but actually it's quite limited. That's where they can move. In this case, in my battle, that would be where Banks and Jackson can move. If necessary. So far I haven't needed to do that. Next, replace any eliminated leaders. Next, undertake in reserve MSA activities including route, fatigue, straggler stuff, so on and so forth. Finally, remove commands from reserve status is so desired. After that, combat effectiveness phase. This is where you determine if a brigade or a division is combat ineffective. Like in the case here, Trimble. Combat ineffective. It's a brigade that's ineffective. Divisions can also be marked as ineffective. So there's 2 different ineffective levels there, division and brigade. And this is also where you recover from that status. So we'll see if Trimble, at the end of this turn, can get out of that ineffective brigade status. And finally, turn record phase, advance the turn, so on and so forth. So that's the sequence. You see where I'm at right now. I'm about to get into this is my pool, as you can see. Augur is the only one with 2 AM markers. So initiative goes to the rebels. They have 3 each with each division. Now, which division do I want to act first? I pick one of these markers, and that marker, that division, will not be put in the pool, and instead will be activated in the upcoming activation segment. Basically the part A of the activation segment. Again, just to point this out to you, which would be right here. And yeah, that's how it works. So what do you think, folks? Should I take action with Yule? Or should I take action with Hill? I'm going to say Hill. Each one has 3. I want to really push on this flank over here. Actually, I want to push on both flanks. It really doesn't matter, but I don't think I'll just want to do it randomly. So I'm going to say, let's put the screws to the right flank of the Union over here and really get into grips with Crawford. I want to use him first. Although that said, I would like to get Trimble's brigade in order. Like maybe I can move him now, activate his brigade. This whole division, in fact, could activate first and do their thing. Maybe I'll do that instead. Either way, it's kind of important. Would be beneficial to the Union. So I think I'm going to take Yule. We're going to do Yule first. So his will be left out of the pot. The rest of these will be put together, and they will be dropped off inside our big cup. These are all the activations all the units have. And remember, out of command units have 1 less, so when their division marker comes up, they can only activate 1 less. So you have to keep track of when these are pulled. I usually put them next to the division commander, and so on. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to put these in the cup. Except 1 for Yule, because he's activated first. All right, folks, this is part, I think, 4 or 5 to this series. I just wanted to show you some of my thinking and a little bit more about the details of the rules and how it works. Now I'm going to go through this and activate some units from Yule. And I'll be back to you and tell you the results of that. So stay tuned, folks. Hope you enjoy.